Welcome to the Writer's Block, our weekly look at all things sports. I'm Jenny Carlson here in the studios at the Oklahoman, joined by the great, the one, the only Cedric Golden from the Austin American-Statesman. How's it going, Ced?
What an introduction, man. I've never been called great at anything. I'll take it.
Hey, let's see how great we can be today talking about NBA free agency, because that's our lead segment. Everybody obviously looking toward this weekend. Sunday it starts 5 p.m. Central Time. We don't have to wait until the wee hours of the morning for all the stuff to get kicked off. But obviously, so many big headline players out there. Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, on and on and on. The first question I think a lot of people have, because it's the biggest rock in the stream, it seems like, is Kevin Durant. He declined that player option with the Warriors. So where's he going, Cedric?
I don't know, and I don't think he's going to return to the Warriors, Jen. I really don't. I think he might end up with the New York Knicks or the Brooklyn Nets. That's what the tea leaves are saying. He could come back to Golden State for $221 million, but I just get the feeling that he's not going to be doing that. So I think the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers just brought in Anthony Davis and teamed him with LeBron James. That has to put them at least in the conversation. You add KD to that mix, and you're looking at an NBA championship contender. So it's not as set in stone that the New York Knicks would contend if they picked up KD and Kemba Walker. They'd be a good team, but I don't think they'd be able to unseat the Raptors if they keep Kawhi Leonard. So I just think that KD has his pick of the litter. LA represents the best chance to win a championship. The Knicks represents the best chance for him to be the guy, along with the Kawhi Irving. So championships and money aren't always mutually exclusive. But I think KD's won championships, and I just think he wants to be the man wherever he goes.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision. Obviously, with that injury, and a lot of people of the belief from all the reports is that Kevin Durant is going to be unavailable this next season. So he's obviously done these short-term deals, one-year deals with the Warriors over the time he's been in Golden State. I thought he would maybe do another one of those with Golden State for this rehab year. So to me, that's surprising that I thought maybe he would stay after the injury. I felt like before the Achilles that he was for sure opting out, for sure headed into free agency. But then I thought that introduced some questions. Now, that it's going to be interesting to see how that affects Golden State. But, the Lakers, Cedric, the only thing, and we've talked about the Lakers at different times over the last 4 to 6 months here, and they're just such a mess. And I know that sometimes players ignore all of the bad juju and the bad signs that are out there, and they just roll with it. But, it just feels so uncertain. I know they've got 2 superstar players there right now. But gosh, it just seems like the upheaval there is really, it's not unprecedented. We've seen stuff like it before, but it's just crazy to have that, highly esteemed a franchise in such disarray. I think it opens the door, as you mentioned, possibly the Clippers, possibly the Knicks, possibly the Nets. I don't know where he goes, but it seems like to me we're seeing sort of almost a flattening out of these super teams, Cedric, because, Kawhi Leonard, another big fish out there, looks like he may stay in Toronto. I don't know if we're going to see teams necessarily with 3+ superstars on their teams. It sort of feels like we're seeing that maybe flatten a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be another team with 3+, but if there is, I don't know who it's going to be.
Well, and the one thing you have to look at is with the dysfunction with the Lakers, with Magic Johnson abruptly resigning his post and allegations of backstabbing and all of that. The one panacea to any kind of drama is wins. You get KD, you get Durant, you get LeBron on the same team. All of a sudden, we're not going to be talking about Jenny Buss anymore. We're going to be talking about how that they probably win 55 to 60 games. So at the end of the day, it's about what's on the floor and what's off the floor. If LeBron James and Anthony Davis bring in Kevin Durant, they're gonna get another mid-level exception player that's very great. to go with the young Kyle Kuzma, who's already on that team. So if Kawhi Leonard stays in Toronto, and it's a big possibility, Jim, because number one, he's happy right now. There's a shot of him at a Toronto Blue Jays game in a private box. He is smiling and giggling and having a great time. So, and Toronto is a great city. It's not in America, but it is a great city for young people. So he may stay. And if he does, then the power base is still going to be with the Toronto Raptors in the East.
Yeah.
If LeBron James brings in KD and LA, the West is still going to be a beehive. Kyrie Irving going to the Brooklyn Nets the Celtics going to go down a notch because he's a great player. So it's going to be really interesting. Those two top dogs, Kawhi and KD, are going to move the needle for what happens in the 2020 season.
Yeah, you mentioned Boston, and that's been an interesting situation for me, at least, to watch. You know, sort of the high that they seem to be riding with Brad Stevens and the trajectory they were on, and now, you know, maybe it's just Kyrie. I don't know, but talk that Kemba Walker could end up there in a sign and trade to replace Kyrie as that point guard, that superstar. But obviously, Al Horford declined his player option. He's now either on the move in a free agent deal or potentially a sign and trade situation. So where the Celtics land, how that affects the East, it's all fascinating. And, you know, it's probably too early at this point to guesstimate, but, you know, winners and losers in free agency, Cedric, I'll be curious to see, can a team like Boston recover after losing what looks like some really important parts? Can the Lakers add another piece or two? I mean, not two superstars, but add some bodies, because obviously with the salary they've got out there, what they've got available to them is a little bit squishy at this point. But, you know, who ends up being on the plus and who ends up being on the minus, I think, is a real big question. And I just feel like it's a little too early to say, because so much is up in the air and so many big rocks in the stream have not landed yet.
You know what? If I'm Boston, we've talked about this, Jen, Kemba Walker, you got to go get Kemba.
Yeah.
You know Kyrie Irving's not coming back. Kemba Walker is 29 years old. He played all 82 games. So unlike Kyrie, he's durable. He averaged almost 26 points a game, had his best year ever, was named All-NBA, and he's a leader of men. He's 29. They can offer him 4 years for $141 million. That's good money. He's played on 3 All-Star teams. Not a lot of people know that because he's in one of those markets that people didn't pay attention to. So I think Michael Jordan doesn't want to pay him the big bucks. So I think Danny Ainge has the money at his disposal with Kyrie leaving. He also has draft picks. So I think the Boston Celtics, if they can land Kemba Walker and pair him with Jason Taylor and Jaylen Brown, and if they bring back Al Horford, Gordon Hayward will be 2 years removed from that gruesome leg injury. Mm-hmm. I think the Boston Celtics will be a player in the East, but they need that big dog running the show. And all indications are, from what I've read, that Kemba Walker has been earmarked as their number one priority.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, with all these big name players. I looked about a week ago, and I think the total number of free agents that the NBA has listed is over 226, if memory serves me right. Now, some of those are retired guys. Dirk's on the list, D Wade's on the list. So clearly not exactly the number, but that's a lot of players. And obviously everybody knows the headline guys, so there's going to be some teams that win with those superstars landing in different spots. But with so many players, and obviously as a superstar departs, the salary cap space that opens up for any team that is losing a star, obviously you'd rather have your superstar, but you wonder who fills in. How do they recover from those losses? Who are maybe those second or even third tier free agents that could be super helpful, but we may not be talking about them much because of those superstars? It just feels like, I know there's always a lot of players in free agency. I think with the number of really big names and then the overall number, I think it's just going to be a lot to sort of, sit down with a roster in another week with all the teams and look, okay, who is where, who improved, who did not. I think there's a lot of questions out there because of the sheer volume of numbers of moves that we could be talking about when free agency's up. Again, starts Sunday, 5 o'clock. Synchronized watches. Get ready for the fun. It's going to be pretty fast and furious, I think. That's right.